Hey, welcome back to the Sex Addiction Recovery Association. This is session 9 of level 1 training. And today we're getting the good stuff, more and more good stuff each and every session deeper in. Today we're going to be talking about codependency and understanding what it is and what it's not. It's, I believe, one of the most misunderstood concepts in recovery and counseling and therapy. But it simply can be defined as relationship addiction. But it is much more than that, which makes it so confusing. Some really good books out there, the classics of Codependent No More, Beyond Codependency by Melody Beatty, Pia Melody. Originally it came out of the AA movement. So today, you notice my video is a little off to the side here. We are going to read this story, You Are Special, by Max Lucado. This is a children's book that was actually my daughter's book, and I've read it many, many times to individuals, couples, large groups up to 50. There's a little boy, little girl in all of us, and get a lot of positive responses generally when I read this. And you might want to get a copy for your clients, friends, family, and teach some of the concepts out of it, because it's more than just a story at face value. It has a lot of deep meaning in my opinion, because I think this is a very simple children level understanding of codependency. So I'm going to take the 7 or 8 minutes here to read the book, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. So here it is. You Are Special by Max Lucado. I'm going to try to hold the pictures up a little bit. Get to the right page here. And here it is. The Wimmicks were small wooden people. And all the wooden people were carved by the woodcarver named Eli. His workshop sat up on the hill overlooking the village. And each Wimmick was different. Some had big noses, others had large eyes, some were tall and others were short. Some wore hats and others wore coats. But all were made by the same carver and all lived in the village. And all day, every day, the Wimmicks did the same thing. They gave each other stickers. Each Wimmick had a box of golden star stickers and a box of gray dot stickers. And up and down the streets all over the city, the people spent their days sticking stars and dots on one another. The pretty ones, those of smooth wood and fine paint, always got stars. But if the wood was rough or the paint chipped, the Wimmicks gave dots. The talented ones got stars too. Some could lift big sticks high above their heads, and others could jump over tall boxes. Still, others knew big words or could sing pretty songs, and everyone gave them stars. Some Wimmicks had stars all over them, and every time they got a star, it made them feel so good. It made them want to do something else to get another star. Others, though, they could do little, so they got dots. Now, Punchinello was one of these. He tried to jump high like the others, and he always fell. And when he fell, the others would gather around him and give him dots. Sometimes when he fell, his wood would get scratched, so people would give him even more dots. Then he would try to explain why he fell, and he would say something silly, and the Wimmicks would give him even more dots. And after a while, he had so many dots, he didn't want to go outside. He was afraid he'd do something dumb, such as forget his hat or step in the water, and then people would give him another dot. In fact, he had so many gray dots that people would come up to him and give him a dot for no reason at all. He deserves lots of dots, the wooden people would all agree with one another. He's not a very good Wimmick. And after a while, Punchinello began to believe them. I'm not a good Wimmick, he would say. And the few times he did go outside, he hung around other Wimmicks that had a lot of dots. He felt better around them. And that's what I like to call a recovery group, support group, community group, church, you name it. Now, one day he met a Wimmick unlike he had ever met. She had no dots or stars. She was just wooden, and her name was Lucia. It wasn't that the people didn't try to give her stickers, it's just the stickers didn't stick. Some of the Wimmicks admired Lucia for having no dots. So they'd run up to her and give her a star, but it would fall off, and others would look down on her for having no stars. So they would give her a dot, but it did not stay either. Now that's the way I want to be, thought Punchinello. I don't want anyone's marks. So he asked the stickerless woman how she did it. Oh, it's easy, Lucy replied. Every day I go see Eli. Eli? Yes, Eli, the woodcarver. I sit with him in his workshop. Why? Why don't you go find out for yourself? Go up on the hill. He's there. And with that, the women who had no stickers turned and skipped away. But will he want to see me? Cried Punchinello. Lucia didn't hear. So Punchinello went home that night, sat near the window, and watched the wooden people as they scurried around, giving stars and dots to one another. It's not right, he muttered to himself, so he decided to go see Eli. So the next morning he walked up the narrow path to the top of the hill. He stepped inside the big shop. His eyes widened at the size of everything. The stool was as tall as he was, and he had to stretch on his tiptoes to see the top of the workbench. The hammer was as long as his arm, and Punchinello swallowed hard. I'm not staying here. And he turned to leave. Then he heard his name, Punchinello. The voice was deep and strong. Punchinello stopped. Punchinello, good is to see you. Come and let me have a good look at you. Punchinello turned around, slowly and looked at the large bearded craftsman. You know my name? The little Wimmick asked. Well, of course I do. I made you. Eli stooped down, picked him up, put him up on the workbench. The maker spoke thoughtfully as he looked at all the bad marks. Looks like you've been given some bad marks. I didn't mean to. Eli tried really hard. Oh, you don't have to defend yourself to me, child. I don't care what the other Wimmicks think. You don't? No, and you shouldn't either. Who are they to give stars and dots? They're Wimmicks just like you. What they think doesn't matter, Punchinello. All that matters is what I think, and I think you're pretty special. Punchinello laughed. Me special? Why? I can't walk fast. I can't jump. My paint's peeling. Why do I matter to you? Eli looked at Punchinello, put his hands on the small wooden shoulders, and spoke very slowly. Because you're mine. That's why you matter to me. Punchinello had never had anyone look at him, much less his maker. He didn't know what to say. Every day I'd hope you come, Eli explained. I came because I met someone who had no marks. I know, she told me about you. Why don't the stickers stay on her? Because she has decided what I think is more important than what they think. The stickers only stick if you let them. What? The stickers only stick if they matter to you. The more you trust my love, the less you care about their stickers. I'm not sure I understand. Eli smiled. He said, you will, but it'll take some time. You got a lot of marks. For now, just come see me every day and let me remind you how much I care. Eli lifted Punchinello off the bench and set him on the ground. Now remember, Eli said as the Wimmick walked out the door. You're special because I made you, and I don't make mistakes. Punchinello didn't stop, but in his heart he thought, I think he really means it. And when he did, a dot fell to the ground. The end. There it is. You Are Special by Max Lucado. All right. Let's go to the next slide. So what is the story really about? So what are the stars and dots? So stars are good, dots are bad, right? Placing dots on one another. This is just a metaphor I believe we see every day. So a story can be about, very simply say face value. You look at this, you could say, the story is about Eli, God figure, Jesus, source, whatever. And it is, definitely, it is about that. But deeper over the years reading this to my daughters, I began to see it through a recovery lens. You see this all day, every day. It's this egoic stuff, right? It's the ego wanting to be right and others to be wrong. So we see this polarity and dualism constantly on the news. Everything you see on the news is egoic. Okay. I tell my clients, I tell my daughters, if you want to know the lies, go watch the news. If you want to know the truth, go watch a Marvel movie. And eventually I'll explain in later sessions about that. So in government, you have the left and the right. Here in the US, it's the Democrats and Republicans. Okay. It's always left and right. Okay. Left wing, right wing, it's the same damn bird. Okay. We, the people, need to wake up. Education, you're given stickers and stars, right, on getting good grades on your papers in elementary school and even in high school. Stickers are still now on your water jugs, on bumper stickers. Stickers are more popular than ever. And religion, okay, you see all day long, pastors, leaders, priests, are always putting stars and dots on their congregation. The congregation is putting stars and dots on their pastors and leaders, okay, rabbis, etc. Couples put stars and dots on each other all day long, okay. And then finally, parents put stars and dots on their children. Children put stars and dots on their parents, especially as those children get older. So this is just a metaphor of codependency. Now, are stars better than dots? Not necessarily. We got a place here in the US called Hollywood. Hollywood stars, and we know how Hollywood stars' lives end, most in rehab, overdose, dead. Okay, the rest of us outside of Hollywood deal with dots. Either way, you end up in recovery. You do not want either. Okay, so this is a very easy way to understand codependency, but you get the depth and the power of this little book. You are special. And this is why one of the first homeworks, this is generally one of the first or second sessions I have with clients is reading this book, especially in our intensive work, and then begin to make a list of things they like, love, appreciate about themselves, what I call talents, abilities, and gifts. And there it is, talents, abilities, and gifts. Next slide. So as a clinician, professional, layperson, psychologist, this is a tool that you can use, and you have them make a list of what they like, love, appreciate about themselves, and nobody can help them with this list. Okay. One of the first things I do when couples walk into my office is I shake their hand, look them in the eyes, especially the men, and I say to them, you are a good man. And due to shame, what we talked about in previous sessions, they look away, they can't, they'll pull their hand away, and I'll grab their hand again. No, you are a good man. And the women, I'll mention to them that you are an amazing woman. Okay, now it doesn't matter what Corey believes or you believe about your clients, nothing changes till they believe it, right? So inside personality traits they can list, outside physical traits, talents like our walking, running, math has taken significant practice, okay? An ability I like to think of is speaking like other languages, art, music, and then gifts, little to no practice, just God-given, easy to do. You're just so gifted at it. I mean, it might take some practice to perfect it, but the Whitney Houstons of the world, the Michael Jacksons, the amazing athletes out there, the Peyton Mannings, okay? Yeah, they worked at it, but there's something just a little extra that they're tremendously gifted at it. So one of the things you do is you have your client identify 20 to 30 things that they like, love, appreciate about themselves inside and out. And this is where self-confidence, or the phrase I've coined, is what I call Godfidence. Okay, who does Eli in the story, who does your higher power, source, all say that you are? Okay, and this little list really helps get rid of that codependent stuff. I'll talk more about that in my next story I'm going to read to you guys today. And so they would come back, share that list, and celebrate. You would celebrate that list with them, and they would share it with you. And before we get to the next one, so what I've noticed is thematically with women is they'll identify their being and their kindness. What they struggle with is identifying their physical attributes. As a father of 4 daughters, this just breaks my heart. Okay, so a lot of women, they get up in the morning, they look in the mirror, and they look and they say, oh my God, how am I going to fix this? Okay, Men get up in the morning, beer belly, flexing their flab, and they're like, man, I look good. Very different, right? How men and women look at themselves. So I let the women share their list, and more often than not, they will not identify much physical that they like about themselves. It might be blue eyes. I love my hair. That's a good start. But what about your other features? Okay. It's amazing when Carrie and I go on a date. She'll be on our date night. She'll be ready in 5 minutes. Okay. She goes out with her girlfriends. Now look at my clock, my watch. It's an hour and a half later. She's finally ready. I'm like, what's going on here? And it's that spirit of comparison women have. Okay, I don't blame the women. I blame society. I blame men and what men have done to women. Okay, so what I like is to have women identify, and they can't say physical things like, "Well, my ankles aren't fat." Okay, it can't be a negative. It's got to be physical things they like, love, appreciate about themselves. And the men come back with their list. Generally, they'll list things they do. Okay, they have a hard time listing things that are just their essence. Okay, no, they're good at cooking. Okay, well, what makes you good at cooking? Well, I pay attention to detail, spices, awareness. So if you find the person doing their list like good at, or this, I'm good at this. Okay, have them go a little deeper. Well, what specifically makes you good at that? And the men too will struggle with sometimes identifying physical things they like about themselves. Okay, now this is not about ego. Okay, this is not about pride and arrogance type of ego. Okay, this is about celebrating how fearfully and wonderfully made this person is. Okay, and it's much like a parent-child relationship. This is a tool you can do with kids too. Have them list, and parents. Some kids can't identify anything they like, love, appreciate about themselves, and that's heartbreaking for a parent to see and observe. So what do you think your maker, God, higher power, source thinks of you, who he, she created? Okay, and you are not celebrating those things. Okay, it breaks your higher power's heart. Okay, God doesn't make junk. Source doesn't make junk. Okay, this is important to get grounded in your Godfidence, because if your clients are not grounded in your Godfidence, the world will kick the crap out of you. Okay. All right. So this is just a good foundational book to begin to help the person understand, a tool you can use, making this list, understanding. They're not bragging about them. They're bragging about their creator, their maker, and celebrating and having gratitude for that. Okay, big difference. All right. So what is codependency? Definition again, relationship addiction, very simple. This next story we're going to look into is one I wrote, the two empty cups that I have with holes. The codependent behavior is, well, if you do blank, I would do blank. If you would be, I would be. Okay, those are classic codependent statements. Okay, we're going to see more of this in the upper level training. But just if you're hearing this between couples, classic codependency. What they're saying, they're giving their power away. You need to do so I don't think, feel, and do. Okay, that's codependency. I'm outside in living. I want to live inside out. Okay, if you would be, I would be. Okay, again, giving my power away. The person needs to change, not me, them, victim stuff. The idea, two ticks, no dog, just no source. They're just sucking the life out of each other. All right, law of attraction, reaping and sowing. You want a healthier partner. You got to become a healthier partner. Another homework assignment I give is, I think I mentioned before, is have the person make a list. If you're working with an individual or someone that's single, struggling in relationships, make a list of your perfect partner, talents, abilities, and gifts you want to see in them, physical attributes, him or her, and then you You give that homework, they come back, they give the list, and now they have a list. The kicker, the punchline is, okay, now you're going to become that person. You'll be like, what? I thought this was the person I'm looking for. Yes, you become that person. You raise your healthiness, you raise your frequency, your vibration, then you will attract that person with the same frequency and vibration, right? All right. All right. So this story is called The Two Empty Cups. It's on the website. Go to transformedhearts.com and click or type in Two Empty Cups and print it, copy it, use it, share it. All right. So here it is. This is a tale of two handmade clay cups, one named Chip and the other named Crystal. They met, they fell in love, and married, and it did not take long for them to realize it was not a happily ever after relationship. You see, something went terribly wrong and was unforeseen. As they poured love into each other, the love would seep out, making a mess. To better understand what happened, we need to learn about this couple and their individual stories. Chip grew up in what appeared to be a loving home, but was neglected in getting his needs met as a child. In fact, he was expected to meet the needs of his parents and siblings. He tried his best to please his parents, but always seemed to end up short, regardless of his best efforts. His grades were never quite good enough, his athletic abilities never quite as good as his peers or for his father. He was just not quite the chip off the old block. What he really loved and excelled at was music and art, but that did not seem to matter to his parents. He was hurting due to never being good enough. But as little boys do, they stuff their feelings because feelings are a sign of weakness. Strong boys are not weak. He stuffed his hurt and pressed on. Unknown to him, deep down cracks developed at his in his foundation. Crystal was beautiful in shape and color. Her glazed finish shined much like crystal since the day she was born. However, like most little girls, she faced extreme pressure, not by her parents necessarily, but by her culture and peers to talk, act, behave, and look a certain way while growing up in the prized china cabinet where she grew up instead of the cupboards, which made her feel out of place. She felt like she never fit in, which was reinforced to be true by her female peers, teased and made fun of her. She tried not to let it hurt, but it did. And she stuffed the pain, trying to be the best version of herself. She struggled with comparing herself to other girls. Unknown to her, deep inside, cracks developed at her foundation also. Now, while dating, Chip and Crystal had so much fun in common and loved spending time together as they both enjoyed rides in the dishwasher, hand wash, baths in the sink, and sunning on the towel on the kitchen cabinet. Being able to serve in their design purposes pleased them both, and no cracks were ever noticed. Pouring love into each other seemed to be received and appreciated. Now, after the wedding, things began to quickly change in their relationship. As the stress of life on their own and adulting was stressful, fun things they enjoyed together were replaced with responsible things to support themselves. The cracks they both brought into the relationship from their childhood was stuffed away deep down and began to be exposed. Now, Chip poured love into Crystal, affirming her beauty inside and out, but it seemed to be never enough, as it leaked out no matter how much or how often. It was never good enough, and Crystal did not believe the beautiful things Chip saw in her about herself. Like her name, she began to see just how fragile she was. Crystal felt much the same way as she poured her love and appreciation into Chip, but it also seeped out into a big mess. No matter how much she encouraged him, it seemed hopeless as well, and Chip did not believe the things she told him about himself. Like his name, he felt she would be the missing piece he had lost within himself a long time ago. The situation did not get better the longer they were married. In fact, things became worse. They tried harder, but the harder they tried, the emptier they felt. Eventually, both were two empty cups pouring emptiness into each other, and both became very frustrated and began to blame and accuse each other. Now, we all know if you have no liquid to pour, you have no liquid to pour, as you cannot even hold it long enough for yourself to pour into the other. You cannot give what you do not have. Occasionally, Chip and Crystal did receive forms of love from other cups like family and friends, and temporarily they did have some drops to pour again. And however, to make matters worse, both learned how to wear a lid on top of their mouth. If Chip poured into Crystal or Crystal poured into Chip, nothing was received. It just splattered out, making it even a bigger mess. Both felt cheated, unloved, unappreciated, disrespected, miserable, and would spend hours blaming and accusing each other. They lived the rest of their days miserable, broken, and empty. They were said to be last seen on separate shelves at a secondhand store, waiting for a new and hopefully separate owners. The end. So check it out, the Two Empty Cups on the Transformed Hearts website if you want to get a better copy of that. All right, so lessons from Chip and Crystal. So this story, again, is another metaphor of understanding codependency and another layer. So here are some of the lessons. Number one, you and only you are responsible for your brokenness you brought into the relationship or marriage. Your partner did not cause your cracks or brokenness. They just exposed them. Okay? It is your job to heal your own cracks, not your partner's. Okay, are we getting to hopefully connect some dots why SARA, Sex Addiction Recovery Association, is not the shame men, victimize women model? Okay, this is why. People who expose your cracks and brokenness are not necessarily your enemy. Lesson number 5, people who do see your cracks are not necessarily your friend. 6, you cannot give what you do not have, meaning love. Number 7, you need to believe you are lovable, worthy, and love for who you are on your own. 8, it is not your partner's job to fill your cup. I know it's a hard one for you codependents out there. Number 9, fill your own cup from within. Begin to love yourself first. Okay, and this is why the betrayal trauma stuff and does not work long term. 10, if you do not believe well of yourself, you will not be able to receive or agree with what your partner believes about you. 11, only you can change your beliefs. 12, once you're healthy, fill yourself from within and start pouring into others. Take off your lid and receive love from others. 13, your maker made you perfect for a purpose and a reason. All right, good stuff. This is fun stuff. I love this stuff, getting into the good stuff. So hopefully that was helpful. Share this, like, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Next, we're going to get into some more good stuff. So hopefully this was helpful today. Appreciate you being here. Grateful for you and investing in yourself and your clients. And we'll see you on the next video.